All right. Parents. And that leads me to my first question. Right off the bat, we don't take breaks. Anyways, Tori, how is a parent supposed to treat their child?
I think a parent is supposed to treat their child with respect and love and decency. Um, because a
All
lot of
valid.
parents,
All valid.
a lot of parents don't nowadays. Like,
That's crazy.
I, I don't know. I just think the way we grew up with our parents.
Yeah. Don't get me started on Miss Erica.
Stop.
No, I love my mom. I love my mom. And with that being said, I'm going to talk about four different types of parenting styles that are used. So we have the authoritative, the authoritarian, the permissive, and the neglectful. And I thought about this as I was like, kind of like thinking of ideas for the show because in college, one thing that I did learn when I was in college at Southern Adventist University was that I loved psychology. And I took this developmental psychology class and I just fell in love with it. And so they actually got onto the topic about parents. And so me remembering the only thing that I ever learned in college was about parents, trauma. But so with that being said, I have written down all four of them and I've actually researched the definitions or what their characteristics are like.
Go on.
So permissive parents rarely give or enforce rules. They overindulge children, which means they give them whatever they want to avoid conflict. Neglectful parents are uninvolved or absent. This is what we call a deadbeat, okay? Like people who don't really care about their children's well-being, their behavioral needs, or even, they don't nurture or guide them at all. So basically that child is, on his own from day one. And authoritarian parents, which not to shade my mom, but this is who she is. My mom is very, very authoritarian. And after I go through this, I want you to tell me, like, give me an example of somebody who's like either one of these. Like, because we've come in contact with a lot of parents in our days.
Mm-hmm.
You're about to be 20, I'm 21. Like, we've been through a lot. We've seen a lot already. So, authoritarian parents set strict rules and punishment. There's only one way of communication. It's either their way or the highway. They give little or no consideration of child's social, emotional, and behavioral needs. Which, like, crazy enough, because when I was growing up, my mom always had this saying, whatever I say goes. And so even if she was, like, dead wrong, I'm talking, like, dead wrong, like yelling at me for no reason and I was right, she'd be like, well, I'm sorry, I guess. It's like, I would have been better without an apology, actually. You could have kept that. But Tori, like give me an example of something like one of those kind of parenting styles that you're more like you've seen a lot or you're more accustomed to.
This is really sad, but I think like the more like neglectful parent, this is
Honestly,
so bad. I think when my brother and I, when we were growing up, I think we were very neglected.
Wait, that's not funny, Tori.
It's not funny, but like I have to be truthful. Like, and it wasn't because like my mom didn't love us. It was just kind of my mom was always working because she was like the sole provider for our family, and my stepdad was just not there. Like he laid in his room all the time watching TV. He didn't do anything for the family. He couldn't keep a job for more than 3 months, and
My stepdad made music. My stepdad was a rapper out of Atlanta.
no way.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't. Well, he still raps, but he's not as like into it as he was when we were kids. But when I tell you, if we knocked on the door and asked him anything while he was recording, oh no, it was hell to pay, man. That was the scariest point of my life. No. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Anyway, yeah, like it wasn't because my mom didn't love us. It was just because she was constantly working. She was the sole provider for the family, and she just couldn't do it all by herself, and that's what she was trying to do.
You know, that's actually crazy because my mom was the same way. When we were kids, like my mom, she would always like work. My mom would work from the time we woke up to get on the bus to go to school to the time we came home and ate and closed our eyes. My mom would just be getting home. My mom worked all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So like when we were kids, my mom, her parenting style was more like neglectful. Not saying because she just didn't care about us, but she had to like keep working in order for us to have like a place to stay and food to eat.
And I don't think it's like she wasn't emotional. No, she wasn't like physically neglectful. Like we had clothes, we had shoes, we had a roof over our heads, we had toys. Like it was more like emotional neglect. We didn't really just. I didn't just have my mom there.
Right.
It was just
like we'd have her on the weekends.
We were just by ourselves.
During the week, it was always like stressful because when we get up, like my mom, she would already have our clothes laid out for school, or like even when we were younger, be up for daycare. But as we got older, my mom, she actually started becoming like a lot more financially stable to where she could get home and like at decent hours and we're still awake and like be more involved in our lives. And so, like, my mom growing up was, like, I wouldn't say she was neglectful, but she was neglectful emotionally. She wasn't, like you said, she wasn't neglectful physically because we always had what we needed.
Yeah.
So, my mom was neglectful. My stepdad was authoritarian.
Yeah.
But as, time went on, my mom became authoritarian and my stepdad became permissive.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's like, it was never a good balance because sorry, excuse my language. So when we were younger, those weren't a good mix, being neglectful and authoritarian. And then as we got older, authoritarian and permissive, those are not good mixes at all.
Yeah.
But that's kind of crazy, like the way like we put it in 4 different kinds of categories of parents and the fact that they're all pretty accurate. Like, I know some very, very, very permissive parents. Like, I know some kids who literally do whatever they want and challenge their parents, and their parents just bow. They bow down. They don't argue. They don't do anything. If their kid told them to shut up, they would shut up. And I'm saying, if I ever told my mom to shut up, I would be swallowing teeth. I would have teeth lodged in my esophagus.
Yeah.
And all my stuff would have been on the curb, ready for me to go. Like, not even kidding. But talking about that actually leads me into my second question. And my second question, and this is tough because, anyways, how do you personally feel about spanking? Would you ever spank your child, and why?
I feel like you should have phrased that different.
No, Tori, come on, answer. We're being real. We're being real.
I know. Personally, like, I grew up getting spankings, but I wasn't that bad of a kid. Like, so I didn't get them often. My brother, on the other hand...
Not TJ!
He was, like, really wild, and it's not his fault. He had ADHD. Like,
Same.
He still has it. So, like, I mean, it was difficult for him growing up. I think that I personally would try to like avoid it unless it's like something seriously, like you're just not listening, you're not behaving, timeouts won't work, nothing's working, I feel like it would be like one of my last resorts, I guess, but I feel like...
Well, that's how it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to get spanked right off rip.
Well, okay, but that's how it was growing up for me.
I'm speaking from experience, too. I got my ass beat all the time.
Like, you did something bad, spanking.
Right.
Not just timeout. No, it was spanking.
Oh, my mom said timeout doesn't work. My stepdad said that's for white people. We don't.
It probably is. I'm sorry. Timeouts do not work.
They don't. My mom.
They sit in a corner and cry, and then you're like, okay, you can get up, and they do the same thing.
Speaking of a corner, oh man. So going away from spankings, oh my lord, this would be the worst punishment my mom would ever give me. Cause like, if let's say me and my brothers were arguing, or we were like dead ass like fist fighting, my mom would make us both come downstairs, go to a corner, and stick our arms up and stand there until she felt like we learned our lesson. And there's this one time, me and Eric, he's my older brother, me and Eric, we were like arguing or fighting about something, and this was like nighttime. My mom, she had just got off work or whatever, and so she's sitting on the couch watching Seinfeld, and me and Eric, arms stretched all the way up in a corner, just staring at the corner. And I don't even know how much time went by. All I know is I asked my mom, "Can we go to bed now?" And she was asleep. She woke up. She said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, go to bed." I'm like, what? I go upstairs, clenched fist. I'm like, she fell asleep while we were standing there with our arms in the air. I'm talking, I better had like some nice obliques. I should have had some very defined triceps. I'm over here hurting. I'm going to bed tossing and turning in pain. And she was asleep. That's so rude. Like,
Did y'all learn your lesson though?
no.
Okay. See.
No, we didn't.
See, kids
We're
are just kids.
We're kids. We were children. Like, we fight, and there's like 3 people to fight every day. Like, I grew up with 3 other brothers, and I was always tall and overweight, so I was an easy target. But you know me, I'm never going for that. So we always had to scrap when it was time. And me and Dominic, I swear, me and Dominic got spanked probably the same amount of times we were kids, because we would always be fighting each other, and we would always get spanked together.
And you still fight with each other.
Yeah, but I mean, we're adults now, so
Yeah.
it's all in good fun. But so, would you ever spank your children?
I think I would try to avoid it, but sometimes, like, if your kid's just off the walls and just not listening, sometimes they just need a good spanking.
That's what I'm saying. That's actually like, I don't think spanking is bad. I just think it's bad if you overdo it.
Yeah, I think if it's your first resort to every single thing and you're not talking, like, to your kids about what they did, like, how it's wrong, and you're just like, here, you're in trouble.
Spanking.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I learned in psychology class that spankings don't necessarily, they're not, how do I explain this? They're not bad, but they're not good. Because they don't become afraid of, they don't stop doing what they're doing because it's wrong. They stop doing what they're doing because they don't want to get spanked. And so spanking comes more like oh, I'm afraid of the consequences. I don't feel bad because of what I did. I just feel bad now because I'm about to get my ass beat.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
I think I would definitely try to, like, talk to my kids first and be like, hey, this is not okay.
So you want to go for like a more authoritative way?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I don't want my kids to be, like, afraid of me, and, like, I just want to talk it out and be like, hey, this is not okay, and I want to explain to you why it's not okay.
And yeah, because the definition of an authoritative parent is solves problems together with child,
Oh, okay.
sets clear rules and expectations. Which, I mean, clear rules and expectations could go both ways, because if you're setting expectations that are just too high for a child, they're going to feel like they don't measure up. They're not good enough. So you kind of have to know your child to know what they're capable of doing. And you can't do that if you're barking orders at them, if you're not listening to them, if you just let them do whatever they want. You can't know your child. You know, and I did my research on this because this is a pretty big topic. It's something that I know that, like, I wish that somebody would have talked to my parents when we were growing up, because my parents, they were growing up with us, you know.
Yeah.
They were really young, you know, they were still learning this thing, you know. And it says, like, and I got this from brookings.edu, and it says 81% of parents say spanking is appropriate. That's a lot of parents. You know, out of that case study, 81% of those parents say, yeah, spankings need to happen. And 35% of the children getting spanked at least once a year. That's not a lot. When you see 81% of parents say, yeah, spankings is necessary, but it doesn't compute because it says 35% of children get spanked at least once a year. And so 26% of men between the ages of 18 and 26 reported they were spanked or slapped. I don't know about you, but my mom sometimes didn't have a chance to grab a belt. You know, she was holding the remote, you might want to duck. She had a broom in her hands, you might want to step back 6 feet. You know, you got to social distance from her. Because that, and they swing at anything. She had a shoe, a chancleta. Oh, it's over. That thing is like a heat-seeking missile. It'll find you. It don't matter how she throw it. Just know it's going to hit you. You can't duck. You can't avoid that. But I'm just saying, like, those are examples of excessive punishment. What do you think? Like, isn't that excessive?
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't find a belt, you gonna grab a shoe? If you think
no, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna hit my kid with a shoe. I know it
maybe
happens.
A remote.
No.
She said it happens.
It happens, but I don't. Personally, I don't want to hit my kid with a remote.
But if it happens, it happens, right?
No, not for me.
Oh,
I'm not doing that.
Okay.
I'm saying
I thought that's what you meant.
No. I'm saying it happens, like, but I'm not gonna do that. I mean, I guess I understand where your mom was coming from because
there's 4 of us.
I know.
There's 4 of us. You know, sometimes I understand why my mom was the way she was. You know, I get it because it's for growing boys. You know, she's gotta, like, I wouldn't say assert her dominance, but she gotta let us know what's going on. You know, I was always afraid of my mom growing up, and if I ever even thought about saying something back to her while she's screaming at me, sometimes even if I said something and I was 100% true, I wasn't. Even when I'm right, I'm wrong. That's just one thing that I had to learn was just you're wrong every time.
Yeah.
But that's a form of authoritarian parent. You know, that, and there's no, of course you could say, you know, that's the wrong way of parenting. That's the wrong way to do things.
I don't think there is a right way. Like, I think
it's just your way.
Yeah.
How do you do things?
Like, no one teaches you how to parent.
Planned Parenthood is there for a reason.
I know, but you gotta learn you gotta learn with your kid.
Yeah. Anyways. Yeah. Now, that sounds good on paper, but, you know.
I know, but
this is real life.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, no one teaches you how to parent. You just gotta figure it out.
Right.
And sometimes people figure it out the wrong way, I guess. I don't know.
But you just said there's no wrong way.
I said there's no right way.
So there's a wrong way, but there's no right way.
There is not a single right way to parent. Like, everyone's gonna be like, oh, that's wrong.
So you're saying that in this world of parenting, it's a lose-lose situation.
Maybe not a lose-lose, but I'm not saying that literally a parent can do every single thing right. Like, you can't.
Okay, yeah, I get that. Okay, that makes sense. I'm not gonna bite your head off for that, because I get that.
You can't do everything right. You just can't.
But, I mean, okay.
Overall, if your kid becomes a good person in the end, I guess you did do at least most things right, but...
Okay, with that being said, even though my mom, she had more of like an authoritarian style of parenting, we still turned out okay.
Yeah, you guys are good people.
So you're saying that even if you set strict rules and regulations, my way or the highway, and you, like, I wouldn't say beat your kids into submission, but you let them know who's boss in an authoritarian way, that's okay?
I wouldn't agree with that. Like, I wouldn't agree that that's every single thing that your mom did is okay, but you got to think, like, your mom was young. She was raising 4 boys. Like, she didn't know what to do with 4 boys.
Yeah,
y'all are so close in age too. I don't know how your mom did what she did, and you guys all turned out okay people.
Yeah, like me and Dominic, we have our own apartment. You know, we have jobs. We all have cars. We're like self-sustained at 20 and 21. Like, of course, what my mom did worked, but I think it only worked because we wanted space.
Yeah.
You know, because like growing up with parents that are more like hands-on, I'm talking about like hands around your throat, hands-on. You want to like do good for yourself so you don't have to be there. And I'm not saying like we were doing all this to get away from our mom, because when we got this apartment, our mom helped us move in. You know, she paid a little bit of it to like get us in faster. You know, me and my brother, we had enough, but my mom wanted to make sure we didn't need anything when we moved in. She went and dropped like $350 on groceries. still bought us comforters and stuff like that because I was in college for 2.5 years, so I didn't have all that stuff, and the comforter that I had was old, so she wanted me to have something new. Bought me a whole bed. Like, she bought me everything I needed. She bought us everything we needed. Gave us a living room couch. You know, she gave us a lot of things. Gave us her old flat screen TV that she can't use anymore. So like we got a lot. You know, she gave us everything that we needed. And like, of course, you know, that's what parents are supposed to do, quote unquote. But when you have neglectful parents, they don't do anything. And when you have permissive parents, they do everything. So it's like every time you look at a different style of parenting, there's always pros and cons for each one.
Yeah, there's no right way to do it.
And there's like, with, okay, let's just say if you're watching TV, this stereotypical rich kid has neglectful parents. The stereotypical rich kid just wants the attention of their parents. And if you see like, you know, a regular, like when I would used to watch these old, you know, I don't want to say it like this, but these old black TV shows like Good Times or, you know, A Different World, those parenting styles are more authoritarian, you know, don't do this, go home, do that. And it's always like me, I set the rules, I set the standards. You never really see a type of authoritative style of parenting, which in this study is said that authoritative styles of parenting are the more, you know, ideal for raising kids. But it's like that's easier said than done. You know, sometimes you have to be the parent, right?
Yeah.
And so like, which leads me to my next question. So branching off from would you spank your child, we're gonna dive a little deeper, and I want to know what you actually think. You know, be honest. Like, this is like, we're being real. So is spanking considered abuse?
I don't think so, because I think most of like the people like in our generation, I guess, like the people, you know, in their 20s, like late teens, I think we all got spanked at least once or twice when we were younger. I'm not seeing as, oh, I got abused because I got spanked. I don't see it that way. I think, oh, I got spanked, I knew not to do that again.
Yeah, but did you know not to do it again because you didn't want to be spanked, or because what you actually did was wrong?
Because I didn't want to be spanked, but I mean, when you grow up, you're like, oh, that is wrong. I'm like, oh, I understand why they spanked me.
So you're saying that in the moment you were only not doing what you did to get spanked, so you wouldn't continue to be spanked. But as you got older, you realized that, oh, that was wrong. Like, I did deserve to be spanked for that.
Yeah, I think as you grow up and you mature, you're like, okay, yeah, that was wrong. I should have gotten spanked.
Like, okay, that makes sense. Me, on the other hand, like, I wouldn't say spanking is abuse. I feel like it can be considered abuse.
If you're just doing it just to do it, because, like, I think, yes, sometimes it can be. But for me, I don't think I was abused because I got spanked a couple times.
Okay, well, let's do it like this. Let's see it from, like, somebody who their father is very authoritarian but neglectful, and he goes out and drinks till...
Yes, that's abuse.
Okay, so let's say, okay, now your mom is authoritarian. She tells you what to do, and you don't do it. And you don't, in your childish head, you don't feel like what you did was wrong, but she spanks you. Or in your childish brain, you felt like you were right, but she still spanks you.
I think if you're not explaining to your child why what they did was wrong, then yeah.
Interesting. Okay, interesting. See, I didn't think of
like
it
if you're talking to your kid and you're like, do you understand why what you did was wrong?
So even after all that, and they say no, I don't understand, then what? Do you still go along with spanking?
I mean, I would like spank them and be like, look, this is why I did that, because this is wrong.
And one of the worst things you could ever say to your child, and I grew up hearing this a lot. There's two different things you can say to a child. You can say, I'm only doing this because I love you.
Oh.
If you're spanking me, in that moment, I do not feel like you love me. So don't say that to me right before you beat my pants off, like. And the next thing you can say is, this hurts me way more than it hurts you.
Yeah.
And I'll look you dead in your eyes every time you say it and say, no, it does not. You don't have a leather belt, thick as a mug, smacking your cheeks or your back, Like, I'm just saying, like, you don't get it. But, you think, like, parents who spank were often spanked when they were children.
Yeah.
So they know how it is. But for parents who take spanking to a whole different level and is trying to beat the brakes off of you, that is when it's like, okay, like that doesn't seem okay. That doesn't seem like you're doing something wrong. Something is not connecting. Like you said, it's one thing to spank out of correction, and that, like you said, that should be the last thing that you do. But if you're doing it as like, the initial response to something being done, like, it's like, dang, how was this child supposed to know what they did wrong? Because I can almost guarantee you, after you spank that child and if you try to explain to them what they did wrong, they are not hearing you.
Yeah.
Personal experience. I remember when I was in 5th grade, and this was like the worst part of my life. So I was playing with this piece of paper, and I had this friend, his name was Tyler, and I was in this I think math class. And so he said something to me that I didn't like. And I guess like swiped the piece of paper at him, and it hit him in his eye. And it was like the sharp part. So his eye started bleeding.
Oh.
Yeah. And so my teacher, who I'm convinced never liked me from the beginning, she always had some kind of problem with me, but she made me go sit in the principal's office. My mom came, and when I saw her walk past the glass and I looked at her and we made eye contact, I already knew it was go time when we got home. I was like, oh, God, please. And I used to bargain with God to save me from spankings and stuff like that. But I remember, like, when I got home, my mom, it was so different because it wasn't like, I'm going to beat the brakes off of you type thing. She, like, tried, obviously she spanked me. She spanked me and it was pretty bad. But only because I made this guy's eye bleed, which, if you cut somebody's iris and it bleeds, that runs the risk of them not being able to see. So after she spanked me, I was so mad at her because she spanked me. And then she tried to explain it to me afterward. And I was just like, arms crossed, just, I don't care. Leave me alone type thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man.
I do think, like, spanking should be the last resort. I think if they do something once, try to explain to them, be like, hey, this is not okay. I'm asking you not to do this again. I'm explaining to you why it's not okay. Can you please not do that again? And then
spank.
No, I'm saying, and then they do it again the next time, and you're like, okay, I asked you not to do this, and you're still doing it. And explain it. I would really like you not to do this.
Okay, so I have a hard question for you. So let's say this 3-year-old screaming and hollering in Walmart. You're doing everything you can to just like bear with this child. You're telling him or her to shh, just wait a second. You're throwing a tantrum because they can't
I'd walk
have a bubble.
outside. I'm sorry. I would walk outside.
You would leave your child in the buggy and walk outside.
No, I'm saying I would walk outside with the kid and go home.
So, I don't know about that one.
Because
in that moment, I'm going outside. I'm going to pop his little feet and be like, hey, bro.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot. There's people looking at me thinking I'm trying to steal you.
Yeah.
You need to be quiet. And I think that's where they get the term, if you show your ass in this store, you got another thing coming for you when we get home. Yeah. And every time my mom would say that, I'd be like this, zip and lock. I'm not saying nothing. I'm holding on to that buggy for dear life.
But, like, my thing is, I never did that when I was a kid. I talked to my mom about this. Like, me and my brother were never like that. We did not scream in stores. Like, I mean, yeah, we were annoying and we were like, can I get this? Can I get that? Can I get this? Like, but we didn't scream our heads off. And my mom never had to walk us outside and beat us.
Ooh, speaking of stores, I remember we were in the line to check out, and I saw these Tic Tacs, and they were like multi-flavored. Which, as a kid, I never ate Tic Tacs, but just something was different about them Tic Tacs. So I put them in my pocket. And I knew what I was doing was wrong. I was like 6 or 7 years old. Like, no, I was in second grade, so I was like 7 years old. And I put them Tic Tacs in my pocket. I don't know how nobody heard them shaking around in my pocket on the way to the car. All I know is when I got home, like everything was good. We were having a good night. I went to sleep. I woke up and I forgot I had them Tic Tacs. My mom, she woke us up in the morning. You know, it was like 7 o'clock in the morning. We had to get ready. We had to make the bus. I roll over to get up, and she's still standing there. She's like, where did you get those? I was like, get what? And I tried to lay back over it and make her seem like she was crazy. She was like, get up. And of course it was the morning time, and nobody wants to be spanked in the morning. She said, wait till you come back from school.
Oh, God.
Seriously, she took me all the way back to Walmart and made me explain why I took them. And then she was like, so are you going to call the police? I'm like, the police? I'm 7. I'm 7. Why are you calling the police? I won't do it again. She was like, that's what happens to bad kids who steal. And then she took me back home and then spanked me. I was not having a good time that day. And the funny thing is, like, at my school, they had these things where, like, you'd be, like, the student of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so they actually called me for that day as the student of the day. And I got this little goodie bag, like, of pencils, like, and an eraser. Like, and they stamped your hand. And after you got your hand stamped, you couldn't be the kid of the day anymore. Yeah. Just don't tell them that I got busted for stealing the same day.
God.
But yeah, that's just like, I feel like that was a good way to show me that what I did was wrong, was to show me the consequences if I continue to do that. And then, like, to seal the deal, to spank me. You know, I did learn.
I just saw a video of this mom. Like, she's in the car with her, like, 4 boys. And one of her kids, like, they took I don't know what it was. It was like a piece of candy from the store. And he's laughing about it, and she's like, you think this is funny? It's not funny. And he's laughing about it, and so are all the other kids. The mom calls the police, literally has them come and walk him into the store.
What? Okay, that's a little much.
And then he's crying. He's, like, not looking the police officer in the eye. Like, the police officer's like, okay, we're just going to take this back in. You're going to say sorry. And then you can go home. He's crying. He goes into the store. He hands it to the lady. He walks away. And the mom's like, no, you need to say you're sorry. He says he's sorry. And the lady's like, we can't put this back on the shelf. You already bought it. Like, it's candy. Like, we can't just take it back. And the mom's like, okay, well, just throw it away then.
Yikes.
And the kid's just, like, seeing this. And the police officer's just standing there. The other police officer is out in the car, or, like, by the car with her other kids. And I was just like, at least he knows not to do it again. Because the mom's gonna...
That would be scary for me as a kid, too.
And then he's like, she goes, you're lucky your dad's not here.
Yikes. See, for me, it was always... My mom was the one who, like, dealt with punishment, you know. My stepdad, he would deal with us. But, like, my mom was generally the one who... you know, had that iron fist, you know.
Yeah.
So, one thing that I always hated, sometimes, I wouldn't say always. Sometimes I hated this because, like, my mom, whenever she would bring God into punishment, it's like, okay, Mom, like, I get it. But Jesus did say that he is who is without sin cast the first stone.
Yeah.
And you've already had 3 lashes across my back, and now you're asking me to pray. For worship. I'm good. I'm not in a prayer spirit right now.
I think that is toxic. And I think I think that I love your mom. I love your mom so much, but that shows, like, your kids to be like, oh, God is just a God of punishment, and he just wants me to worship him after I'm punished.
She'd be like, straight up beat the brakes off me. Worship time comes. Zachariah, can you pray? It's like, what? What? You got 3 other options and you want to ask me? Like, no, I don't want to pray. I'd be staring like, I'm talking, it would be awful. She'd be like, really? That's how you come before God? Do it again. And I'd have to do it again. And then when
It's the way I can hear her say that exact sentence.
And when I do it again, I'm like, dear Jesus. She's like, never mind. I'll do it. And she'd pray, and it'd be like some little conniving thing at the end. She'd be like, and change our hearts before we go into worship. I'm like, dang. Like, how you going to ask me to change my heart when you already changed it? Like, you already beat me. What else am I supposed to do? Like, am I supposed to come in to prayer like, dear God, thank you for exercising punishment on me today. I will do so much better. Forgive me for my sins. Like, no, I'm not going to want to do that. Yeah. Like, that's just crazy to think that.
I do see it. I do see that.
And, like, with that being said, you know, we so far we talked about, is spanking good or bad? Would you spank your children? You know, we talked about, is spanking considered abuse? We talked about different parenting styles and what those parenting styles consist of. But this leads me to my last question. And this is a very thought-provoking question. I want you to take your time and think about it. What kind of parent did you want? Out of the 4 parenting styles, what kind of parent did you want? And what kind of parent are you going to be to your kids when you get older?
I don't know if, like, any of those styles are, like, exactly what I would have wanted. Mm-hmm. But I think I just wanted my mom to be there. And I just wanted parents to be there and to go on vacations or, like, to go out to eat and not be like, I think anytime something good happened with our parents, it was, like, such a good day, and I don't think it should be like that. I think every day should be, like, I'm happy to be with my parents, you know, like, not, I wonder, you know, if the next 6 months we're gonna go do something as a family. Like, it wasn't like that. We didn't just go do things as a family. Like, we never, ever did that. I think we went to Gatlinburg, like, twice. You know, like...
Dang, me and you are so different, bro.
I know.
We're so different.
I think... And I just want to say, like, because my mom will probably listen to this.
Mine too.
I just want to say, I love my mom so much, and my mom is my best friend now. And
best friends.
And I respect my mom more than anyone, and I love her so much. But growing up was hard, and I understand why she had to do the things she did. But sometimes I wish it could have been different. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad we are where we are now. And I don't want my mom to feel bad because she, like, made me into the person I am today. Like, I think I'm a pretty good person.
Well,
shut up. Literally, I love my mom, and I just want to say that before we end that because I just want my mom to know that I don't hate her for things that happened when we were younger. Yeah. I understand why she had to do the things she did.
And I think she does understand, you know, like, as a child, things are different, you know, from a parent's perspective. You do, in your head, you do what you have to do. And to your kid, sometimes, like...
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. But, like, I bet she understands that you understood why she did what she did. You just wish that, you know, she was there more, you know, that you guys could have more time together.
And, like, I mean, we spend, like, every single day together now. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it makes up for it. But sometimes I do, like, think about what my childhood would have been like if we went on, like, family trips and out to eat and just did things as a family because we never really did that.
So what kind of parent would you want to be to your kids?
I think I can't just be like, oh, I'm going to do this and this and this, because I think as soon as you become a parent, it's just very different, you know? Mm-hmm. I can't just be like, oh, so I'm going to do this and I'm going to do everything perfect. Like, I can't be I can't be perfect, and I
Yeah.
think it'll definitely change when I have my own kids. But I just want my kids to know that I love them more than anything and I respect them. Like I just want them to grow up knowing that like they have me if they need me. I don't want to
That's
be in their
good.
face all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure not gonna be in my kids' face all the time. I always tell whoever like I'm involved with, I'm like, yo, if we have kids, just know I won't be here for the first 3 years of their life.
That is so
No,
wrong.
I'm just
That is so
obviously,
wrong.
obviously, I'm kidding. I would never do that per
I
se.
want my I want my kids to be good people, and I think that, I mean, sometimes you, well, not sometimes, I mean, like, you have to discipline your kids. Like, it's just a part of being a parent. You know, you have to teach them, like, right from wrong, and you're not going to be perfect at the end of the day. You're just not.
So you're saying that you would find your own style.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I would try. I don't want to just fit into a box, you know? I want my kids to love me and I want my kids to respect me like I respect them.
That's understandable. Mutual respect goes a long way, even if it's with a
Yeah.
child. If
I
you
mean, is that going to happen? I don't know. We'll see.
it should.
The next couple, not couple, maybe like 7 years.
The kind of parents that I had, I've already explained. My mom was very authoritarian. My stepdad was, authoritarian and then permissive. My mom was neglectful and then authoritarian. But all of those things kind of drove me, like you, to who I am today. And my mom, she's the type to sacrifice everything she has for us. And she had been doing that our whole entire life. Like she gave up a lot of things for us, just to make sure we always had a roof over our heads, food on our plates. She always did what she had to do. And so, like, when you look back on all the things that she gave up for us and things that she sacrificed, like all of her life things that she wants to do, and she didn't do them because she wanted us to have a better life. The way we grew up, it just kind of pales in comparison to everything. Because, like, my mom, I know she's hardworking. My mom, she works hard. She always makes sure. My mom, she's very interpersonal too. She's very outgoing. You could talk to her about anything. And so growing up, like I did, and even though me and my mom have had hiccups, because I'm grown up, and with authoritarian parents, they feed off of control. And if they don't have control, then they just kind of short circuit. So me and my mom have actually, like, we've been rebuilding our relationship in a more healthy way. And I love my mom to death. She's the most important person to me, like, besides my grandma and my friend Carissa. But we have our pitfalls, but I always know that she has my back and I know I could talk to her about everything. Now, the kind of person or parent that I want to be when I grow up, I really do. I'm a fun person, I want to have fun with my kids. I want to show them everything that my mom showed me, like the good sides. Like, we take a family vacation every year. We would have like family movie night on Sunday nights where we just sit inside the living room and just watch movie after movie together, popcorn, nachos, and everything, just having a good time. I want to do everything that she did, like where she incorporated everything with us as a family. She let us know what was going on, if we were moving or anything like that, and she called them family meetings. We always knew what was going on. She never wanted to keep us in the dark, and she always says, even to this day, that we were her best friends growing up. We were all she had. So now it's like the same way still. Like my mom, she's all I have. Like she's like my best friend. So that's the kind of parent I want to be. Somebody that's available and emotionally and mentally and physically available. And I don't know what kind of parenting style that fits in, but whichever one it fits in, that's the one I'm doing.
I think it's crazy how different we grew up because you said like your mom would sit you down and be like, "Hey, we're moving, this and this." I'd come home from school and they'd be packing the U-Haul and I'd be like, "Okay." Like,
don't get me wrong, we moved a lot,
Yeah, but like we moved like probably once a year for 8 or 9 years straight. Like,
we moved like 3 or 4 times by then.
but like, I think it's so weird that like how different we grew up.
Yeah, we definitely grew up like. And when you were saying about how you wanted to go on family vacations and stuff like that, I was like, dang, I do that every year.
Like,
Yeah.
I never did that.
And it's crazy to me, like you said before, that you'd never been to Disney.
Nope.
I went to Disney every single year.
I've been to Busch Gardens. That's the only.
Okay,
I've been to
Busch Gardens is kind of lame.
I know, I hated it. I hated every minute of it, honestly. But
SeaWorld
it wasn't like a
is
family
even worse.
thing. It wasn't a family thing. It was a class trip.
With who?
My senior class trip.
Yikes!
Yeah.
My senior class trip, we went to Virginia.
Virginia?
We went to Virginia Beach. We actually got an Airbnb that was this beach house.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
we went to King's Dominion, which is the most ghetto amusement park I've ever been to. I'm talking about there was buses full of boys and girls clubs.
Have you been to Lake Winnie?
No.
Don't say it's the most ghetto. You have to go to Lake Winnie. I need you to go.
I'm good. All I'm saying is when we went to King's Dominion, there was like 3 good rides. After I rode those 3 rides, I was like, it's kind of lame. Like, but before then, I went to there's one in Ohio. Oh, Cedar Point. We went to Cedar Point, and that was fun. They have this ride that goes all the way up and straight back down, and that was
I love those rides,
bro. I'm
those
telling
are
you,
my favorite.
it went all the way up. I'm talking to the toppest point of the theme park, and when I say it was just a straight back down, and then the ride was over. I think it was like.
It's literally, those are like one of the, I love the feeling that you get at the very top and you're like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
I don't like the feeling as you do it.
No, and then you hear the click and then it just falls.
And the next thing you're swallowing your stomach again.
Exactly.
I don't like
love
that.
I love that feeling.
But Tor, we gotta go to Disney World.
Yeah,
You've never been to Disney World. That's sad because I know Disney World like the back of my hand.
Really?
No, I've gone to Disney World so many times.
I want to do the whole thing. I want to do every single
park. You want to go all 4 parks?
Every single one.
Okay, Epcot. That's kind of a pass for me. Epcot was kind of.
It's an
boring.
experience.
It was kind of boring.
Okay, it's an experience.
Animal Kingdom was.
I want to go to Animal Kingdom.
I think no. Not to sound basic, but Magic Kingdom is probably my favorite one. Anyways, we're getting off of topic.
Yeah, we're off something really bad.
So back to reel it all in, we talked about all these things, what we want in our parents. We've all talked about like how we want to be when we grow up, That leaves me a question for you guys, our listeners, what kind of parent do you want to be? What kind of parent did you want when you were a kid? And how are you going to make that happen for, your future offspring? Because it's one thing to say, that's wrong or do it like this. But how would you do that on your own? How would you incorporate your own parenting style? How would you do it? I'm Justin Garcia.
And I'm Tori.
This has been 2Unrelated, and we'll catch you on the flip.